Hello, I'm Brian Downs, and this is a Republic if you can keep it. It is the 13th of March, 2026, coming to you from Orlando, Florida, just about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and we are killing people in Iran. We have been, the United States of America, for the last 12 or 13 days. President Donald J. Trump is bragging about it on his social media posts. He is killing them in a war that had no clear reason to start, no obvious goal, and, no end in sight. This, well, I said war. Large-scale military action. It is not legally a war because, of course, Donald Trump did not get congressional approval. Why does he need it? He does what he wants. That's been the story of his life, hasn't it? He's got Secretary of fucking up Pete Hegseth playing with his little sack of toy soldiers, being the imbecile child that he is, telling him everything's fine and this kind of thing can be handled quickly and easily, although typically when you look at the history of large-scale military actions or special military operations, as Vladimir Putin has discovered, or even little excursions, as Donald Trump has now started to characterize this misadventure, they don't typically have neat and easy outcomes. Trump, of course, snatched Maduro out of Venezuela in a special operations mission that lasted a few hours, and now claims that that was a huge success. Well, of course, we shall see how that unfolds. Maduro hasn't even been convicted of any of the crimes he's charged with. But this apparently gave Trump the idea that all of these things are easy and fun, and so he's launched this air war in Iran. One of the first things we did was accidentally killed about 150 school children, sprayed them across a few blocks of Tehran with a Tomahawk cruise missile. And then the President of the United States told insane and transparent lies about what happened there, claimed it was the Iranians who had done it, when in fact American intelligence knew very quickly that it was we who had done it with a missile that had been improperly targeted. Clearly someone had mistaken that school for a military target. So what we have, of course, is a barrage of idiot lies, which is Donald Trump's brand since I don't remember how many decades back. And no particular goal. We say regime change, but regime change to what? Just because you change leadership doesn't mean you've improved the situation. Oh, well, Donald Trump says, I want a hand in choosing the leadership of Iran. Why would they give you that? Oh, well, because we have air power. So what? Anyone who is not a child can understand that simply being able to destroy things from the air does not give you total and absolute control on the ground. That should be obvious from, oh, well, gee, I don't know. Let me think of some examples. The Vietnam conflict, the invasion of Iraq, the invasion of Afghanistan, the occupation of Iraq, the occupation of Afghanistan, the war in Ukraine, I beg your pardon, the special military operation, which is evidently bigger than an excursion but smaller than a war. This is just not how it works. Just because you can destroy things from the air doesn't mean that the people on the ground are going to do whatever you tell them to do. In fact, I don't believe that's ever been accomplished in history, wherein a nation was conquered simply with air power. And by the way, if the Iranian government said right now this minute, okay, uncle, we'll stop firing weapons at various targets in the Middle East, at American military bases, at Israel, at anything else we can reach and damage to drive up the cost of this avalanche of stupidity for the United States, the cost in lives, the cost in blood, the cost in treasure, the cost in credibility on the world stage. Hey, we'll stop firing weapons at all these targets and we'll say, hey, you win. And then the United States says, okay, well, now we're going to pick your leadership. And the Iranians say, no, you're not. What do you do then? Fire more missiles? At what exactly? What do you do then? Send hundreds of thousands of American troops to occupy Iran? That gets even stupider. And so as is clear to everyone, this operation in Iran was dumb. No other American president has even considered such a large scale and ongoing operation since the Islamic Revolution, something like 50 years ago. But of course, Donald Trump is smarter than everybody he's ever met, so that's why he did it. And let's talk about another angle of his incompetence. His approval ratings were already being washed down the gutter with the manure and the broken bottles. His approval ratings were historically low, the least popular American president since polling was begun, including, by the way, himself in his first term. And that was before he started bombing in Iran. Then polling about Iran itself. What do Americans think of this campaign in Iran? Approval is 40% or below. This is terrible. American approval for other military operations in the past, things like attacking Afghanistan after 9/11, etc., usually 80% or more. The first Gulf War to free Kuwait, very high approval ratings. The approval rating on this was bad to start with, and again, traditionally, approval ratings for military adventures go down over time as the grim reality of military action sets in, as casualties and costs mount, as one or more, we'll see how many it turns out to be, children's schools are obliterated with a supersonic missile. So the approval on Iran is very likely to go down, dragging Trump's approval down even further with it. This was a man and a party who were already looking at being stuffed down the garbage disposal in the midterms. Will the Republican Party survive in any recognizable form? We have been seeing Republicans losing elections up and down the ballot, special elections, runoffs, anything. PTA, dog catcher, second assistant director of who cares what. In deep red states, Republicans beaten here, beaten there. If Trump endorses a candidate, that is very nearly the kiss of death. After this, in Iran, which is costing the United States of America billions of dollars a day, which is costing American lives and wounded. By the way, another thing, the White House was lying about how many Americans have been wounded. I don't know if the Republicans will survive. Which, by the way, I don't look forward to, because I don't believe that the Democrats are much good at running anything either, but it's a different conversation. I'm certainly not interested in having a one-party system in fact or in effect. And definitely anyone who thinks of themselves as a Republican, I don't, by the way, should be thinking that they need to get away from Donald Trump just as fast as ever they can, because the only thing I can think of is the video game Left 4 Dead, which is a zombie shooter from some years ago. And there was a particular kind of zombie. It was a hugely fat zombie that would come charging at you, and when you shot it, it blew up and sprayed acidic bile all over everything. Somebody help me in the comments. What's the name of that thing from Left 4 Dead? Because that's what Donald Trump is politically. And so here we are. We're not helping the Iranians. We're not helping the Americans. We're not helping the cause of American power worldwide. We're bankrupting the nation. We're running out of missiles and missile interceptors, by the way. We're using those up a lot faster than we can replace them, which, of course, reduces America's readiness in any other theater in the world, and encourages people like the Chinese and the Russians to start thinking that maybe they ought to act up. It is a disaster in every way, and it's going to be a political catastrophe on a scale never before foreseen for American conservatism because of President Trump and his stupidity and his dementia and his criminality. What does it take to get Republicans in Congress to support impeachment? What if not this?